Ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters, hear me today. You have come too far, you have lived too long, and you have survived too much to let the wrong people steal your joy in your latter years. There is wisdom in experience, and there is power in knowing who belongs in your life and who does not. Some people will drain your strength and sap your spirit until there is nothing left of you but a shadow of who you used to be. Some people will manipulate your kindness, taking and taking, while never pouring back into you. Some people will speak death over your dreams, trying to convince you that your best days are behind you. Let me tell you something. Life is too short and your peace is too precious to be surrounded by people who do nothing but complain, criticize, and bring negativity into your space. These are the people who always have a reason why something won't work, why things can't change, and why life is too hard to even try. You see, negativity is like a virus. It spreads. You may start your day feeling joyful, grateful, and excited about what's ahead, but spend just a few minutes around a negative drainer and suddenly you feel tired, heavy, and discouraged. They don't just speak negativity, they breathe it, they carry it, they infect others with it. These people never see the good in anything. If the sun is shining, they'll complain it's too hot. If it's raining, they'll say it's too wet. If they get a blessing, they'll complain that it wasn't big enough. And if you tell them about something good happening in your life, they'll find a way to tear it down, dismiss it, or make you doubt yourself. But here's what you need to understand. Your mind is a battlefield. Your thoughts shape your reality. Your words create your world. If you surround yourself with negativity, it will drain your energy, weaken your faith, and rob you of your joy. Negative drainers will make you question what God has already confirmed. They'll have you second-guessing your decisions, doubting your dreams, and hesitating when you should be stepping forward in faith. They'll whisper, "Are you sure?" When God has already said go, they'll say, "What if it doesn't work?" When you should be saying, "What if it does?" But let me tell you something. You cannot afford to let their fears become your future. Some of you have been carrying the weight of negative people for far too long. You've let their voices be louder than your own. You've let their pessimism choke out your passion. You've let their lack of faith make you hesitant to believe in what's possible. But today I challenge you to make a decision, not just to remove negativity from your environment, but to protect your peace at all costs. How do you know if someone is a negative drainer? Watch their words. Do they build up or do they tear down? Do they encourage you or do they constantly bring problems without solutions? Do they celebrate your wins or do they always downplay them? If every conversation leaves you feeling worse instead of better, it's time to step back. If every time you share your dreams, they shoot them down, it's time to limit access. If every interaction leaves you exhausted, frustrated, or doubting yourself, it's time to protect your spirit. Negative people will talk you out of your destiny if you let them, but not today. Not in this season. You have too much life ahead of you to waste it listening to people who have already given up on theirs. So be bold enough to say, "I love you, but I refuse to let your negativity take root in my mind." Choose joy over judgment. Choose faith over fear. Choose peace over pessimism. And most of all, choose to surround yourself with people who remind you that no matter what comes, God is still in control. Because when you walk in faith, when you keep your mind focused on the good, when you refuse to let negative voices shape your future, nothing can stop the blessings that are on the way. Somebody say amen. Now listen to me carefully. There are some people in your life right now who do not love you. They love what you do for them. They do not value you as a person. They value you as a resource. And as long as you are giving, as long as you are sacrificing, as long as you are pouring out, they will keep coming back, not because they care, but because they crave what you provide. Let me make it plain. The manipulative takers will take everything you have until there is nothing left of you. They will drain your money. They will drain your energy, they will drain your time, and they will drain your spirit. And when you finally stand up and say enough, watch how quickly they disappear. Because they were never there for you in the first place. They were only there for what they could get. Some of you have spent your whole life being the strong one, the dependable one, the one that always comes through. And because of that, some people have mistaken your kindness for weakness. They have mistaken your generosity for obligation. They think you owe them something. But let me tell you right now, you are not a bank. You are not an emergency fund. You are not an endless supply of yes. There comes a point in your life when you must discern who is there because they love you and who is there because they love what you provide. How do you recognize a manipulative taker? They only call when they need something. You haven't heard from them in months, but the moment they need money, a favor, or a place to stay, here they come. They don't ask how you're doing. They don't check on your health. They go straight to what they want. They make you feel guilty for saying no. The moment you set a boundary, they act like you're the bad guy. They bring up the past. But after everything I did for you, they manipulate you with guilt, playing the victim when you refuse to be used. They never reciprocate. You have given, given, and given, but when the time comes for them to pour into you, they are nowhere to be found. They are too busy. They have nothing to offer. They disappear when the roles are reversed. They act entitled to your blessings. Instead of being grateful, they expect it. They treat your help like it's a requirement, not a gift. They never acknowledge the sacrifice you made to help them. They disappear when you're in need. Oh, but let the tables turn. Let you be the one in a tight spot. Suddenly, they can't be reached. Suddenly, they have their own problems. Suddenly, they have nothing to give. But hear me today. You are not responsible for carrying people who refuse to carry themselves. Some of you are walking around tired, drained, and depleted, not because God hasn't given you enough, but because you keep pouring into people who never pour back into you. You are carrying grown people who refuse to grow. You are rescuing people who refuse to save themselves. You are helping people who don't even appreciate the help. It is not selfish to protect your resources. It is not wrong to set boundaries. It is not mean to say, I love you, but I cannot continue to pour into you if you never pour back into me. Jesus was a giver, but even Jesus had boundaries. He fed the 5,000, but he didn't feed them every day. He healed the sick, but he also went away to rest. He gave, but he also withdrew from people to refill his spirit. You must do the same. Some of you have been manipulated into thinking that your value is in what you give, but let me remind you today, your worth is not in what you do for people. Your worth is in who you are in God. If someone only loves you when you're giving, they don't love you. If someone only comes around when they need something, they are using you. If someone only sees you as a source, but never as a person, it's time to cut them off. You have worked too hard and prayed too long to let manipulative takers steal what God has given you. The days of overextending yourself for people who don't value you are over. The season of being drained by people who only take is done. Your peace is more important. Your energy is more important. Your joy is more important. You do not need to apologize for protecting yourself. You do not need to explain why you are setting boundaries. You do not need permission to say, no, I cannot do this anymore, because let me tell you something. When you finally stop allowing the wrong people to drain you, you make room for the right people to bless you. So today, make a decision. No more being manipulated. No more feeling guilty for saying no. No more letting people drain you dry. This is your time to pour into yourself, to guard your heart, to protect your blessings, and to walk boldly into the peace that God has for you. If you believe it, say amen. Now listen to me. If you are still alive, God is not finished with you yet. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how many years have passed. And I don't care what people have told you, you still have purpose. But let me warn you, there are people in your life right now who will try to kill your dreams before they even have a chance to live. These people are not just doubters, they are dream killers. They don't just lack vision for themselves, they want to steal yours too. They don't just stop believing in their future, they want to convince you that you have no future either. Let me tell you something. Not everyone can see what God has placed inside of you. Not everyone will believe in what God has called you to do. Not everyone will support you when you decide to step out in faith. And that's okay, because your dream does not need their approval to become a reality. Dream killers will disguise themselves as realists. They will tell you they are just trying to protect you from disappointment. They will say things like, be careful. You don't want to get your hopes up. At your age, do you really think that's possible? If it was meant to happen, it would have happened already. And before you know it, their words become your thoughts. Their doubts become your hesitations. Their negativity becomes your new reality. But hear me today, if God put the dream in you, then he has already made the way for it to come to pass. How do you recognize a dream killer? They downplay your ambitions. The moment you tell them your vision, they roll their eyes, they laugh, they dismiss it like it's a joke. You tell them you want to write a book and they say, who's going to read it? You tell them you want to start a business and they say, at your age, that's for younger folks. You tell them you want to go back to school and they say, what's the point? You should just relax. They remind you of your past failures. They say, didn't you try something like that before? And look how that turned out. They bring up your past struggles, your past mistakes, your past setbacks, as if God cannot do a new thing in your life. But let me remind you, failure is not final unless you quit. If God put it in your heart again, it means he still has a plan for it. They are comfortable where they are and want you to stay there too. Dream killers don't just attack your dreams, they want to keep you from outgrowing them. They see you getting excited about your future, they start feeling uncomfortable. They see you leveling up and they feel like they are being left behind. So instead of growing with you, they try to pull you back down. But let me tell you something today. You cannot let small-minded people talk you out of big God-given dreams. Some of you have been holding back because of what other people think. Some of you have been keeping quiet because you're afraid of their opinions. Some of you have been sitting on your vision because somebody told you it was too late. But I came to break that lie today. It is never too late for God to move in your life. Abraham was 75 years old when God called him to be the father of nations. Moses was 80 when he led the Israelites out of Egypt. Sarah laughed at the idea of having a child at her age. But God fulfilled his promise. Colonel Sanders started KFC at 65 years old. Grandma Moses began her painting career in her late 70s. So who told you that your time is up? Who told you that your dream has expired? Because it wasn't God. If you are still breathing, you still have purpose. If you still have the dream inside of you, that means God still has work for you to do. If the vision is still burning in your heart, then that means it is not over. How to protect your dream from dream killers. Stop telling everybody your plans. Not everyone deserves access to your vision. Some people will try to kill it before it even gets started. Keep it between you and God until it is strong enough to withstand the attacks. Surround yourself with people who believe in you. Find people who encourage you, who inspire you, who remind you that nothing is impossible with God. Get around people who speak life, not death. Move in faith, even when others don't believe. Listen, you don't need their approval. You don't need their support. You don't need them to understand. If God said it, that's all the confirmation you need. Remember that opposition is proof you are on the right track. Dream killers only attack people who are going somewhere. If nobody is criticizing you, you might not be dreaming big enough. If nobody is doubting you, you might not be stepping out far enough. But the bigger the dream, the greater the resistance, so keep pushing forward. Final word. Don't let them kill what God has given you. Some of you have been sitting on a dream for years because somebody told you it wasn't possible. Some of you have been living below your potential because you let a dream killer talk you out of what God placed inside of you. Some of you have been delaying, hesitating, second guessing, but today is the day you take it back. Today is the day you say, no more doubting, no more listening to negative voices, no more delaying what God has placed in my heart. Because let me tell you, the best is still ahead of you. And when God brings your dream to pass, the same people who doubted you, the same people who laughed at you, the same people who told you it wasn't possible, they will have no choice but to watch you walk in the blessing that they said would never come. So get up, get moving, get believing again, because your dream is still alive and the best is yet to come. If you believe it, say amen.